Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and to another Masters of the Universe Revelation review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Masterverse Battle Cat, and this is a deluxe figure, and oh boy, this is going to be fun to film because this thing is huge. I did wonder why it was so expensive, and then when it turned up I was like, oh yeah, that explains everything. This is the biggest battle cat we have ever gotten. It's massive. Yeah, anyway, so bear with me if this review is a bit shoddy, because I've had to use the background that I usually use for my Jurassic World reviews, and he just barely fits on that. So yeah, okay, so we'll have a look around the box, but if you've seen my He-Man and God Skeletor reviews, then the packaging's pretty much the same. It's fairly plain, but I do quite like it. I think it looks nice. It's a sort of a modern take, which I think is appropriate now. I mean, it's the 21st century. So yeah, as you can see, it's a massive window box, and you've got Battle Cat in full view there, and boy oh boy is he a big boy. He's yeah. Right, so let's have a look, see what's on the side. I don't think there's very much on here, honestly. It's got Battle Cat on that side. And there's a really nice piece of artwork on here, which I will take a separate picture of, and I'll put it on my Instagram, because you can't really see it there, but there's no other way I can do this at the minute. Let's just flip him around and see what's on the back. Yeah, it's more of that stunning artwork. We've seen this on the He-Man and the God Skeletor packs. It's just, woohoo! It's awesome. Let me get this clear out of the way. There we go. You can really see it there. Amazing artwork. My box is slightly battered. I got mine off of Amazon, so yeah, I thought I better get it from there, because I'll be surprised if it shows up in shops here, to be honest. So, anywho, you get a picture of Battle Cat as Cringer, although I'm not quite sure we can get away with calling him Cringer at that size, but it's quite nice. Looks alright. We'll see what it looks like in the plastic. It says also available Skelegod, which we've already covered, and He-Man. And then Mossman, Skeletor and Evil Lyn, and I haven't seen any of these three, so yes, I'm on the lookout for these. I'm honestly not that bothered if I don't get the Mossman, but I would like to get the Skeletor, and I absolutely have to have that Evil Lyn, so yes, there will be a review of her at some point when I can find one in the UK. What's on the bottom? Oh, it's all the usual guff on the bottom there. So yes, it's a very, very large box. So let me pause the video and I will crack him out of his packaging and we'll get a better look at him. Right, so here's Battle Cat out of his box, and it feels like it's even bigger out of the box than it was in the box, and I know that seems a bit sort of backwards, but it's so big. We'll get to comparisons in a minute, but before we do that, we'll do what we always do and have a look at his accessories, which basically just amount to the head and saddle armour. So let's have a look at this headpiece first, and I will do a couple of comparisons here. So yes, as you can see, it's a more stylised version of what Battle Cat usually has. Let me just bring in a couple of other pieces. Let me bring in... We will do full comparisons shortly, but I'm just going to do it this way because it's just going to be easier, I think. So this is the new Masterverse, and this is the Origins. Now you can see there that that's quite a size difference already just on that head armour. So I've got this white dust stuff going on again. So you can see there, these are both the ones with painted eyes. So So that's a comparison for the Origins. I'm afraid I don't have an original Battle Cat. I've got sort of a part of one, but it doesn't have any of the armour, sadly. I don't have a 2000X one either. So this is the Classics head armour, and as you can see, the pupils aren't painted. You just get like red bits for the eyes. And this is this was the biggest I thought we were ever going to get a Battle Cat, but no, Mattel proved me wrong, because it's so big. I mean, even just for that you can see the difference there. So while I'm comparing different pieces, have a look at that for a minute while I get the saddle. I never thought to get the saddles off the other two before I started this, so let me just pop these off and we can have a look at that as well. Let's play some lift music in your head while I do this. Right, okay, we're back. So here's the Origins armour. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to move Battle Cat out the way for a minute. Right, that's the armour. That's the saddle armour for Revelation Battle Cat, and here's the armour from Origins. So you can see there again, there's quite a size difference. If you can hear knocking, it's because I've got the Classics helmet under my arm. That sounded all kinds of wrong. Just ignore. So yeah, it's very similar, but it's definitely going its own way. So that's Origins, and then the Classics one. And you can see the Classics one is actually a lot more detailed, and it's also a thicker plastic. This is actually quite rubbery, which I don't mind, because this is a bagger. This will not stay on Battle Cat properly. So get that. They're actually quite comparable size wise. I will do a little test later and see if the armour can be swapped, or the saddles rather can be swapped, because that'll be interesting. At least it will be interesting to me. So yeah, so that's the saddle up close, and you can see it's very soft. Mine's got a big splodge going on there, which I'm not massively happy about, but I'll see if I can fix that. The thing that bothers me most though is where the plastic ties were holding this in, it's scratched off the paint here, so that's a bit frustrating, especially given how much this was. I don't know how much they are in America, but it was 45 quid here, and I'm lucky that I had a £10 voucher. But yeah, for that amount of money, Mattel must do better. It's not ideal. There's also something going on with the paint on this horn piece as well. But you know, it's not a huge issue. There's another lot. Heck, it's not very well painted, that saddle at all. I'll be honest. That's pretty poor. But yeah, well. Interestingly, where all the other saddles only have the one strap, this does have two, so that's definitely going to help keep it on the figure, so I do appreciate that. Right, so we've had a look at those pieces. Let's have a look at the figure itself. Just trying to find somebody to put that for a minute. And yeah, like I said, this guy is just huge. And the reason I'm covering him before I put the saddle and everything on is because I really wanted you to have a look at the articulation without the saddle on, because he's just jam-packed. He really is. But let's have a look at the face sculpt first. Get a good look at this chap. And yeah, that's a really nicely sculpted face. You can see the fur there is just very well detailed, and a bit around his muzzle also. Everything seems to be quite nicely painted, so that's good. Just head on. Just see if I can get my camera slightly back. I'm struggling for room here, so. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Maybe could have done without this mould line right down the middle of his head. I think they've done what they did with the Classics line. They've used sonic welding to put the pieces together, which negates the use of screws, which is fine. But I do rather think it might have been better if they could have done it so it wasn't directly down the middle of his face, but it's not a huge issue. You can see his mouth is painted quite nicely there, a couple of little teeth sticking over the edge, and the lower jaw is moulded to accommodate those canines just hanging over the edge there. And for the most part, the figure is well painted. I think perhaps some of the stripes they could have gone over again, but this isn't new to a Battle Cat figure to have this sort of patchy paint, so again, it's not a huge issue. But yeah, he's all really well sculpted. You can see you've got some nice lines going on for, you know, where his rib cage would be. So it's underside there with some more fur hanging down, and it does look really, really nice. It's very well sculpted. Mattel have been doing some really good things lately with the Jurassic World and Jurassic Park line. I'm glad to see that a lot of that is translated over into this line. Yep, got a nice little tail there. Slightly different colour on the tip to the rest of it, but yeah. Very nicely done, very, very nicely painted. So let's get to the articulation then. Like I said, he is jam-packed. So as you've already seen, his jaw will open and close. He has a ball jointed head, so you can get a lot of movement out of that. And then his neck, I think it's ball jointed, but I'm not 100%. It might just be a rotational joint there, but still you get some decent movement. Going down the legs, he has the thing that the Jurassic World figures have. You can pull it out to the side, push it in and out like so, and it's got a decent rotation to it. You could probably get that to go all the way around if you forced it. I'm not going to do that. He does have rotation at the elbow and a very tight joint at the elbow, and then at the paw, that's on a ball joint, so you get a lot of movement there, and it's also on a hinge, so you can get a lot out of that. He's got a massive ball joint in the middle here, and a second one back here. And then the rear legs are similar to the front legs, where you have rotation, and it will go in and out slightly, not quite as much. Rotation at the knee with a hinge, rotation at the ankle with another hinge, and a ball joint at the paw with yet another hinge. The tail is on a hinge and it will rotate, so you get a stonking amount of articulation in this figure. Now, just for comparison, before we put the armour back on, let's have a look at the other two. So the slightly unfair comparison is the Origins Battle Cat, which was primarily made just as a more of a nostalgia job, you know, for those of us old enough to remember the original toy line. This is not based on the Filmation cartoon, it is based on the original toy. So yeah, his articulation is practically non-existent in comparison to this. Still, my biggest bugbear is there's nothing at the paws, but yeah, so you get an idea, and that's the size difference between those two. As you can see, the Revelations Battle Cat is considerably larger. I think the fairer comparison, however, though, is the Classics Battle Cat, and this is my second run Battle Cat, and his head will not stay up. It's an issue. It's an issue. But as you can see, they've taken the articulation that was in the classics, which was already very good, and they've just ramped it up for this Revelation figure. So yeah, and I think they've learnt as well from, like, with the classics Battle Cat, where the if you put that armor on, the strap, as you can see, hits the articulation joint right there. So I think they have learnt with this new version that don't put the strap where the articulation joint is, because then you can't make any use out of it. So yeah, as I say, it's very, very similar. There are some differences, but yeah, they've added a little bit more articulation to this. So it is, at first I thought perhaps that this was an upscaled version of this, but it's definitely not. It's a whole new mould, a whole new figure. So yeah, so let me just pop this one out of the way for a moment. And yeah, let's pop the armour on so we get a good look. So let me get the saddle. And again, you will see in a minute when I bring the classics back in with his armour on, that it's very stiff, the saddle, and it doesn't really it doesn't contour to the figure. This seems to fit a little better. Now to fix it on, it's exactly the same as original figures back in the day. It's just a little strap. And I'm finding it awkward because I'm doing it over a camera. But there we go, just pop it in. There we go, just like that. Yeah. So there's the saddle there, and like I say, it doesn't sit directly on the articulation joint. I mean, it's kind of there, but it's not right on it, so that's definitely an improvement. And then with the helmet, it's the same as every other Battle Cat ever. It just clips on, and you hope like heck that it stays there. As my Origins one will not stay off; it keeps popping off. So there we go. There's the Battle Cat with his armour on, and that's quite striking. I really like that. I really like the way that looks. He looks menacing. I mean, really quite menacing. Let me do this again. Get a good look at the face there. That's, yeah. If I were Beast Man or Trapjaw, I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. I really wouldn't. It looks great. So yeah, so let's get He-Man in, because we looked at him before, and let's see how he stacks up. And wow, I mean, you can see just how big this figure is. This is a 7-inch figure, and the top of the saddle stands taller. Now you could argue that the actual figure itself isn't 7 inches tall, and I would agree with you, but just for the sake of argument, and because I have him here, this is Deluxe Class Tracks from Transformers Kingdom, so you get an idea of just how big that Battle Cat is. He's absolutely hench. There's that, and then just for a further comparison, here is the Skelly God figure, who, for the first time since buying him, I have not referred to him as God Skeletor, because I keep wanting to do that. So there you go, you get an idea there of the size. He's massive. So let's see what he looks like with He-Man riding him. Let's just get He-Man on there. Honestly, it seems like the saddle is meant for a larger figure. That He-Man looks kind of, as my mum would say, looks like a pea on a drum. That's, yeah, he's definitely, he genuinely feels a little bit too small, but I mean, it's right. They, you know, they're the same line of figures, so I mean, it looks alright. It's not terrible. I'll do some proper posing and take some pictures, pop them up on my Instagram page, and you can see how they look from there. So I'm going to do one last comparison, or two last comparisons. So let me just get these figures in. Right, so first let's get that Origins figure back in with his armour on. And as you can see, that's quite a difference there. It's, yeah, they're not even in the same class. They are. The Origins figure, I know from this angle it looks like they're about the same size, but they're not. The Origins figure is quite a lot shorter, and he's definitely not as long. So yeah, but like I said, this one wasn't. This was meant to just be a nostalgia kick for those of us who had the original toys. And I did have Battle Cat when I was a kid, and he was one of the ones that got purged. I had the 2-pack as well with He-Man. Oh, I tell you, the things we do, eh? And here's the Classics one again. Like I said, this is the second run of this figure, and his head just will not stay raised when he's got that helmet on. So I will try and hold it in place so you get a good idea. I think this is a much fairer comparison though with the two, but even still, that Revelation Battle Cat is quite a lot larger. I'm not going to worry about that, but just if you stay there. Yeah, it's definitely a big boy, so I can understand totally the price tag. I'm trying to work out how much I paid for the Classics ones actually, but since I got all those from America, I can't remember offhand. So I mean, like I say, I was lucky. I had a voucher for this, so I got 10 quid off it. So it was 33. Yeah, they were £43 on Amazon, so I got it for 33, which I think is decent. I would definitely suggest, unless you need this figure right now, this instant, maybe wait a bit, see if it'll come down in price, because I think it probably will. Once it's got a wider distribution, I think it'll be easier to get. But it's, I mean, even at 43, I think it's a decent purchase at that price, I have to say. And I said that with the He-Man and the Skelly God as well, that I know they're more expensive. They're more expensive than I would like to pay, but I honestly do feel like you are getting value with these figures, because the articulation is fantastic. The paint jobs, I mean, this aside, have all been pretty good. And it's just a big, weighty figure. I mean, I don't think this is definitely not a kid's figure. This is not aimed at children. I will put that out there. It's not something that I would recommend for a child. I think if you're looking for something for a child, then the Origins one is probably the way to go. This is definitely an adult collectible rather than a child's toy. But yeah, but overall, I'm stoked with this figure. I think it's amazing. I couldn't be more pleased. Well, I could if this wasn't. Yeah, this is it's only a nitpick really, but yeah. Otherwise, I think it's a standout figure, and it's one of the best things I bought this year. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. So if it's something that interests you, I can recommend it 100%. So that's it for this one. As always, thanks for watching. Do take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.